and kalamoyaka.
What's the next one?
Sometimes greasy burro as I shagged in the swamp by the highway that is known as number
My kid
7.
liked the one. That's where my raha goes.
To buy my minier clothes, I buy her everything to keep her in style. She wears old underwear, I wear last year's trapdoor pair. Hey boy, that's where my raha goes.
And then the next line is what?
She's got a pair of hips, just like 2 battleships. I buy her clothes at the government surplus store. She wears silk underwear.
I wear my last year's trapdoor pair.
Hey boy, that's where my raha goes. But yeah, truly, it's been an important part of my career too, as I'm learning Finnish, trying to learn it fluently. I don't think I'll ever get there, but to dissect these old Bobby Aro songs and find what these words mean, it means so much to me. My favorite one is in that third Highway number 7, where he's like, you can see us susi ketura karhu as they visit now and then. My shack in the swamp by the highway number 7. I flipped the video on just because these memories.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, I didn't miss. I think I'd pass the test.
That's a susi ketu and karhu. That's wolf, fox, and a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's. I have 2 questions for my friends in Finland.
Yeah.
One is fishing net. Put a rissa in the river, have a kissakala dinner, catfish dinner. And the other one is Luke's aika. She'll be asleep and will be snoring when it's Luke's aika in the morning.
Barn shores
Won't get done when she comes. If you can help me find the proper spelling of what the time it is to milk a cow, Luke's aika. We're Finnish-American, we might not have it down. But
that's right. It might be something Americanized.
Yeah, all these are such good. Yeah, it feels almost full circle in a way. I just got back from Florida yesterday, and their immigrants came in like the 60s and 70s, and here in Minnesota it's more like the 1890s and stuff. But yeah, for my friends who've never heard of Bobby Aro, he was a famous radio and legendary musician and personality from Minnesota and Texas as well.
Did you hear the one too?
This is Mike Aro, his son.
My dad
I soak up these memories.
Was with trying to impress a girl in Chicago, and they were dancing. He asked her to dance, and he thought, well, I'm getting somewhere. And she says, Bobby, are you from northern Minnesota? And he says, yes, I am.
Oh, how do you
ask? How do you know? Well, you dance like you got snowshoes on. Picture that now.
I like the one where it's like, I had one girlfriend one time with the curly hair. Turns out her head was straight, her hair was straight, her head was so gosh darn wavy. And he'd put on that fake brogue and it'd be so funny.
Asked his girlfriend, they were on the outs, isn't there something you used to like about me?
And you had to go out.
But you spent every penny of it.
And you go out and spend every penny on what I used to like about you. That's so funny.
Oh, there's got.
You know, I get in trouble sometimes. Some of these jokes have been outdated, but I just tell them it's part of history.
Yeah.
The intentions are pure. It's comedy.
What is it? We were talking. He had radio show and give you words of advice today too. Stay single. Do unto others
before they do you.
Before they do.
My favorite one: if your work speaks for itself, don't interrupt it. What a beautiful moment. And
well, Steve, I tell you, the last couple hours it's just been a blast. When you get my age, I don't say that very often, but it's been a blast sharing stories and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you. It's funny, I'm getting my brakes done right now at A&C Automotive in Virginia. Shout out.
There's an ad, yeah.
I feel like Bobby, an old radio personality.
He talked about the garage down here. I don't know. Russ's mileage.
Yes, Russ Body and Paint Shop. Yeah,
well,
they have on top of the oil too.
Auto, and Russ's mileage, go there for your Xerox antifreeze and AC sparky plugs.
And Len's Body and Paint Shop is
when
another.
When a body meets a body, take the body shop to the Lens.
To Len's Body and Paint Shop.
That's a long time ago. If you listen to those ads on it, it moved quite a few places in the years.
Well, I hope to get a formal interview for you some other time. But
I'm going to come see you, St. Rose, at the Culliva Hall.
Yeah, St. Urho's Day at Culliva Hall. We'll be doing some old Bobby Aro tunes. I want to formally invite anyone. There's an Iron Ranger who, especially if you remember Bobby Aro, but we're doing a Finnish-Irish fusion for St. Urho's and Patrick's Day.
Like I say, people ask when he was selling records, these songs we're singing were put out in 57 to 61. And the record, he told the record store, kind of hard being this hokey, but it buys breakfast, pays the bills.
Yeah, it was neat in Florida. We don't have enough Finns there now to have all the different factions and drama.
Yeah.
But it used to be, the communists and the non-communists. And Bobby had a real good joke. They're pretty red, but their money is green. And I think that's the funniest thing ever.
Around here,
there's my favorite song personally is the Hum Pum Billy Billy song.
That one took up a whole side of his third album. Right?
It's like a 6-minute song.
Yes, and then
I do it a lot faster. And I leave out some of the jokes that are way too outdated to do
Washington
anymore.
Monument, he thought they stuck the wrong
Put the wrong end in the ground.
Yeah. Or when she saw what the elephant had, she wouldn't come home. I don't know, that's not very...
That one, yeah, that one's a little PC
She
too.
saw the shoulders on the elephant.
My favorite one that is, this one is controversial too, and I don't think it should be. My girlfriend and I won't get married. It's something that'll never occur.
Yes.
Because when I'm drunk, she won't marry me, and when I'm sober, I won't marry her.
Yeah, that's right. Those are,
It's harmless, but if you hear it wrong, you hear something you don't want to hear, then you have biases. You have to check at the door.
Well, when
that's
you
part
get
of
your
this.
pronunciations on the barn chores, we'll see how.
But
he talked about in Finland, and they thought he was singing his song, but he was singing about throwing a Russian in the river.
Yeah, put a rissa in the river,
Yeah, but
and he would say Russo in the river.
He said, I didn't mean that. The lady said, we like that. Throw a Russian in the river. Hope this doesn't go to Moscow.
Truly, I'll mispronounce words too. Usually it's funny. Yeah,
my dad always said that I did radio sports and whatever, but he says, or the bandstand, never call attention to your mistakes.
Yeah, just let him go.
Yeah, because people think, did he say that?
And of course, he played at a time where his Finnish perfection, it mattered maybe to some people, but he was still an entertainer.
You're right. I think the niche he found was,
My entire existence has kind of been, you're singing in Finnish, sweet, and they assume I'm right. I'm never right. Sometimes I don't have my sheet music or my lyrics with me, and I'm just winging it, and I don't know.
Well, you helped me out on a radio broadcast because somebody said they'd like a few more Finnish. Get this, in 2025, throw in a few more Finnish words.
Yeah.
So I went on the translator and found out gym, basketball court, and the bench. Benchi, what was the bench?
Oh, Ben, you'd say benki in the
Yes,
sauna.
and that was
benki.
Anyway, that was where I navigated the most from the bench.
That's
the
amazing.
Basketball game.
Yeah, and when I got to go to Finland, it was so neat doing some of these old Bobby Aro songs on my list. And I do a lot of pop songs and even some reggae and rap songs in Finnish. But I throw in some, especially the Kapaka and the Kaupunki song.
That's right. Really... That one, somebody redid that in early, maybe late 80s. Yeah, that's the one, Tavern in the Town, right?
Yeah, the Tavern in the Town.
Yeah.
There
is
Kaupunki.
Yeah. That is where you'll always find my Minnie and me. We'll see do and we'll have a time that's gay when the Nurka record machine starts to play. We'll dance to the polka shiz, the waltzes 1 and 2, 3. And when
my
you
Minnie
pay
does that twist, that's some. I think I skipped to the other.
I even do that limbo dance. Yes, that's true. And every time I limbo, I end up black and blue. Oh, I will hang my hat too. On the what's by the door and we'll dance
and dance until it's 4.
And what's the one where how you learn to rumba? That's something I'd like to repeat. I drove the tractor on our farm and the tractor had a loose seat.
So when you would travel with Bobby, what did you play?
I played drums.
You were the drummer.
If you ever need a drummer? No.
I was going to say, are you still willing? Because I would love to do a Bobby Aro.
We're talking about a van. I had a minivan. My drum set was it's a 3-piece Rogers, which they don't make.
I have one.
And it would be, I could set it up, pack it in my minivan, set up behind the back seat. That's how small it is.
Wow. I have a vintage Rogers drum kit from, I don't know the year on it. I'd have to
Mine
check.
is, well, this I got in 75, so 50 years ago, but they don't make them anymore, I don't think.
Bummer. Yeah, for this St. Earl's Day tour, we're going all over the state. Our first gig's at Culliva Hall. It'll be the big one for Iron Rangers. But we got one gig in Ely, and then we'll go into Finland for their big St. Earl Festival on the Saturday. And we play at the Irish pub at Carmody's Saturday night. And then Sunday we play in St. Paul. And then we got one gig in Superior on Monday for St. Patrick's Day.
Back to back, I always say I'm only half Finn. The other half is Irish and stuff, so when St. Earl's Day and St. Patrick's Day would come.
This is your fest.
You're going to see it when I go to the
festival.
Culliva Hall. I got some nice St. Earl's Day pins that I accumulated over the years.
I would really like to have you as a guest at Culliva for a program of, even if it's like you give us a little talk before the polka band plays or something.
You tell me when, because I remember a couple years at FinFest, we played some documentary that was made, and then just fielded questions from the crowd.
Yeah,
that worked pretty good.
Maybe in May. I have a meeting next Thursday.
This is more official than wow. Okay.
Yeah,
you remind me in May.
Yeah, forgive me.
Solkela.
So I'm getting my breaks done. There's a couple jobs in front of me, so I had a bunch of time to kill. But Mike and I are planning to go get Village Inn breakfast, and
that
so sure enough,
a 4-hour.
Yeah,
not too many places. You don't know somebody, or I don't know somebody, or we both don't know, or we both.
You know, I don't think there's a word for this in English. If there is, correct me. But when you're a young man who's real busy, but you get a situation like this where I'm powerless without my vehicle. So I ran into Mr. Skalko too at Village Inn, the mayor of Mount Iron, the old one, and so having two retired guys and me, we've been BSing for hours now waiting for my van to get done. I appreciate the ride.
I told you that I finished a broadcast the other day, and I said, words of advice today, not my dad, stay single, but if you see somebody you know, take time to visit. Don't tell me you don't have time.
And that's true.
And the guy says, well, how do you know how much? I says, we all got 24 hours in a day. Take time and visit with somebody. Doing these sports streams, see a lot of good friends, good stories.
And no one needs that advice more than me right now. I'm on the road every weekend, and sometimes it's pack up and bounce.
You're speaking Finnish stuff. My dad, or one of my cousins, who says, I always thought that only family knew Bobby. He said, till I was driving across the UP and I heard his music on the radio. And then he says, then I thought, wow, maybe there is more. Or I've talked to local musicians here that their exact words, I remember the first time hearing my song on the radio, Bobby would play it. If you came with your music, he'd play it. Because some radio stations, formats, we don't make stars. You know, we just play stars.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you brought it, if he was living now, he'd be playing the heck out of your songs, I'm sure.
I gotta shout out my uncle Doug Corpy. Right when I was just starting my accordion career, he hooked me up with a Bobby Aro CD compilation of his best radio clippings. Well, I'm sure you were the one who probably edited and mixed that stuff.
Well, yeah, I went through boxes.
But he knew if you're starting an accordion career as a Finnish-American kid who sings a little bit of Finnish, you're gonna need to know Bobby Aro, and Doug is a big part of that.
Yeah, if you listen to those things, he dubbed, he played very simple, I would imagine, but he played accordion, he played guitar. His drums were brushes on the back of his flat top. That was his drums. And no big production, but they were okay.
I love that on the back of Bobby's guitar, he had Finn Power written on it. And everyone would go ape shit when he puts it upside down.
And then the guitar, if you ever go to McDavitt Town Hall, you ever see Jim Fisher out there?
Oh, yeah, Jim's part of Culliva.
Yes, well,
he's a brother
Jim could have probably opened that cabinet, and there's a guitar in there. And so Steve didn't make this up. There's Finn Power on the back, and then it had inscribed as Bobby Aro up on the neck. But if you knew that, well, now you know the rest of the story. He bought that guitar from Sears.
Sears, they did it all back in the day.
He took the plastic off and had somebody said, oh, like you talked earlier, always can promote.
Yeah.
So he's got Bobby Aro inscripted on that guitar.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, it's fun. I never really try to mimic him. People ask his requests so much. I learned all the songs. I love them. But especially with the radio stuff, I've never been very good at the promotional side of my career. Right now, forgive me, I turned this into a podcast episode, apparently. I should post this. I keep getting the criticism in my career that you need to just flip on the camera when you're doing things that are... Yeah, you are a piece of history for me. You know that. I can ask you questions no one would know.
No, 100 people in the room wouldn't know, right?
Bobby Aro's speeding ticket stories.
Did you ever know when he and our only gig together, me and this guy, I shouldn't have gotten paid that night for coaching basketball. Game ended, this guy's with an accordion, and we're having coffee and cake pieces with parents. And he says, would you sing a couple Bobby Aro songs with me? So he went in the corner. Nobody else heard this, but Steve and I says, or Steve says, which one you wanted? I says, you know him better than I do. Pick one. So
we sang Bobby Aro tunes. I'll give you my perspective. That's one of the core memories of mine because I was always on academic probation and I had gigs and stuff interfering with the basketball games. So I remember that day because I didn't go home on the bus with the team.
That's why you had the accordion. They were long gone by then.
I think nowadays that'd probably be some kind of code violation, but Coach knew, he'll get a ride home. He's probably got gigs or something. And I remember I drained a 3 and I was so mad at Coach for waiting to put me into the tail end of the games. I was pretty good. Just, short and always on academic probation, so I didn't get to play much. But
I cheered louder underneath my breath when you made that one, and told you about it when we came through the line shaking hands.
Yes.
That was a nice 3, Steve.
Mike was the Evelyn basketball coach at my rival high school. And after the game, we would sing Bobby Aro songs. I wanted to play Evelyn more than any team, Evelyn Gilbert, just because I knew that you were there and I'd be able to make my Bobby Aro jokes to you and you'd joke them right back.
I understand.
But yeah,
well, I don't.
Growing up Finnish-American, it means different now than it did in the 70s, but it's...
that's right. You gotta be nice to... Now everybody's making money on Ancestry. Find out your...
And funny enough, I feel like I'm full circle weaving things together because I do have friends and fans that are fluent in Finnish that moved from Finland. Yeah. They can figure out all the mispronunciations I've been doing on these Bobby songs.
My dad couldn't read it, and I remember seeing him on the road one day, and he said, I'm driving to Pentti Mahanen's. They wrote me up in this Finnish newspaper. He had performed at Groovies in Helsinki, so I don't know if it's still there, but they treated him so good that he said they asked him back in other years, and he says it was so good I didn't want it to be any less, that's what it was. But he says, I think they talk about, and there's a picture of him in this newspaper saying he had arrived in Finland.
And he only made one trip, and it was 83 or something?
It was in, maybe 80. And like I say, I'm the witness. I said that he said they've asked, and it was so good that I didn't want it to be a chance at being any less.
PBS did a great documentary on his dad, Bobby Aro.
5,000 miles from home, he said, they treated me. Tell you how good they were. My gig ended, or his, and he said that some guy said, Bobby, to show your appreciation, I've lined us up some saunas with some pretty girls. And he goes, I said, really? He goes, telling my dad, really? He goes, why did I so you don't know. And I won't ever know.
I was thinking of Bobby. I was in Tampere, Finland on tour last month, and we went to the oldest public sauna in Tampere, Finland. And they split them up, men on one side, women on the other. But you can, in the little cooling, if you go outside, and this was January.
Yeah.
I had a gig a couple days before at the the library and had one Vastavirran Yläkerta, the punk metal venue. And yeah, a bunch of ladies came up to me from the ladies' side and was like, "We saw you at the library," and I felt like Bobby Aro for a second. If I have a career, even 10% as epic as your dad.
Well, anyway, they like you say, I get requests, and that's amazing that he made that Highway number 7 that you know better than me, but that was 1957.
Funny.
So if you do the math, you're talking almost 70 years ago that people still ask, how can you figure? He always said longevity, good or bad. If we'd be talking artists. He said they've been around a long time, so they must be pretty good. So.
And it's true, yeah. And Bobby was already pretty well known in the 50s as far back as, right?
Yeah. He came out of radio school in late 40s. First radio job was in Borger, Texas, which is near Amarillo.
Yeah.
And that's where I met my mother. She was at the radio station. So Texas, and that's why how he got exposed to Texas music, country western, Bob Wills, Ernest Tubb.
Wow. Mike, I have a million more questions. I think what I need to do is have
another breakfast.
I'm going to have another breakfast, and we should do a podcast episode and get you at Kaleva as a guest.
Yes, I'll
guest speaker.
I'll make it guest speaker, but I can eat as good as anything. Yeah. I'll guarantee you saw the way I put that ultimate breakfast away.
For sure. Yeah, that Village Inn, they didn't need no boxes. I got some for the pancakes.
Needless to say, I'm not taking any blood tests today, so I'm not going to flunk that test.
But yeah, someone gave me I am part of a military reenacting group. We've done the Winter War. I've done some Civil War.
History.
And all of my guys, they're just Steve. There's one living member that had a white rose, which is like one of the highest honors in Finnish military. And they all want to meet her. I really hope that they get that chance. A lot of my guys are in Illinois and southern Minnesota.
Well, March 13th, Kaleva Hall. 7 o'clock or 5? What was it?
6. The meeting is at prospective member want to join Kaleva. I invite you. If you never thought about it, you could come BS with my guys and me.
Yeah,
it's fun. We're not boring. We have a lot of fun at our meetings. We get through the business quickly. Then there's the concert at 7 o'clock after the meeting. I got my friends from California, Hollywood Dreams, Miska and Maria coming, and we're entertaining. We'll do a couple Bobby songs.
Hey, one thing about playing with my dad, and I was a drummer, so I was behind him, and you knew you were in trouble. He'd turn over his shoulder. He said, "Do you know this one?" He'd kick off a song. I said, "Do you know it?" And I go, "No." And he says, "Well, we'll fake it." So he'd tell me a line, and I'd sing the line, and we got through.
That's amazing. I do that same thing to Pete, that poor guy. I give him the set list, and then I go all over the set list.
Yeah. That's fun. It's fun. Friends. If you can play with friends, and they're still your friends after a lot of playing, it says that's true. Pretty strong relationship.
I've probably been in 50 bands in my life. Only 3 have been profitable, and but dozens of them, it's been me and my best friends just doing the gigs.
Yeah, that's fun. And you're skilled. You're a schooled guy. The only schooled instrument my dad ever had. On all his records, we were talking, he dubbed, he played accordion, he played drums, or his drums were brushes on the back of a flat top.
Yeah.
And guitar. And his mother had died young, and he was raised by an aunt and uncle, grandparents, and they got him lessons with an accomplished violinist. And that's only, and on the original Highway number 7, you'll hear fiddle. And he said, "I'm not bringing it on the bandstand because they'll want Orange Blossom Special or something." But that was on the top of the door.
But he was a formal training in violin, right?
That was
the only one with any training.
Everything else, he said, "Well, we'll make noise."
People always ask if I had any lessons. And no, I never took accordion lessons. I think I brought it in. I had a vocal teacher for a little while, but it didn't really get me anywhere. Then when I got to college and opera training, then I took off. It helped a lot with my singing. But
you're quite a guy. That's good.
But yeah, the accordion, it was pretty much just me being a redneck in Palo, living on a farm without the internet. I'd Google things at the school library and take notes on the notebook and go home and learn certain songs. And
well, that's what we had all the instruments around, and now I wish I would have learned. But my dad, I was 18, he showed up with a set of these Rogers drums, and I said, so what are those for? And he says, well, I'm going to start playing again after a little hiatus. I figured you could drum.
Yeah.
I said, me? And he says, I don't care how fancy. We got to start together and end together. And you'll have the best seat in the house. I said, looking at your backside.
It's true.
When my buddies were working for $1.50 an hour, part-time jobs, I was making $25 a night.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday,
true.
$50. They'd have to work 40 hours to.
I do. Sometimes I think of that. If some of us musicians only will do a gig for $50, it's like,
and it was nothing that I knew.
50 an hour is still better than your warehouse gig. It's still better than so many gigs. Even miners make what, 25 an hour,
Until
maybe
we're
30.
walking into a place one night to show you a lot of the places. My dad played fancy places, but we're walking into. It was called the Glendale Inn. I'm not going to say what it is now, so anybody from originally up here can do their homework. And we're walking in, and the guitar player says, "What is that in that window?" And I says, "I think that's a bullet hole." He goes, "What the heck are we
That was
doing?
a bit of a dive bar.
Are we doing here?" Oh, the bar was full, and we went into the back and played it was a nice setting, but when I said, "I think that's a bullet hole," I thought he was going to jump in his car and leave.
I've played a couple seedy places, and I like them. I have a philosophy. Yeah, I love nursing homes. I love dive bars. I play everywhere. I even play organ at church. Everyone deserves entertainment. Doesn't matter how old. It doesn't matter if they've got issues. If they're willing to hear me tell my jokes and play my silly songs, I'm here for it. If they care enough to hear, I care enough to sing. So
I think my wife is texting me. I picked her up breakfast, and actually I added on we can say it on it, right? Village Inn.
Of course, no, Village Inn. They'd be grateful.
Coconut cream pie. It might be kind of runny by the time I get home.
I suppose I'll wrap this up, but thanks for Village Inn for breakfast.
13th.
March 13th, 7 o'clock at Colliva Hall, 6 o'clock if you want to join and be a member of our Finnish-American clubhouse.
Admission?
Free will admission. It's a donate as you go in type deal. I find you make more.
I haven't been there in 50. I played there with my dad. Wow.
Yeah, Colliva Hall is a historic building. Sorry, my alarm went off. Yeah, thank you so much. This turned into a little podcast episode. I have a tech guy that's been helping me do more social media stuff. So
that works for me. We both got blue eyes. He got more hair than I got. And I
look like Bobby Aro.
I was as thin as him once. And my dad told me one time, he says, a lady said, "Bobby, you've gotten heavy." Well, she had no tact. "You've gotten fat." And he says, "Well, when's the last time you saw me?" And so she threw out a date that was about 25 years ago, like 1958. He says, "Since then, I've been fat, skinny, fat, skinny, fat. Can't you tell me I lost a few pounds?"
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's true.
He told me one day, he says, "It gets harder to take it off." I know that.
I was always the athletic type, and only this last year, I'm 28, I've been putting it on. The better music goes, the worse my diet goes. So that's all I found.
I ran Grandma's Marathon. I was 30.
Yeah, I ran it a couple years ago. I said I'll never work it out again.
If you see Steve, tell him to send you he's the only guy that could have had 100 people in the room. And I said, "You ever been in any wife carrying?" Yes, I have. And he showed it to me. So he and I bet you we were the only ones in that restaurant this morning that had both
heard of it.
Wife.
Yeah. You did it too in the 80s.
He was carrying somebody else's wife.
I met, I can't even remember her name. It was like Jana or something. I met her 10 minutes before the race. Oh, this will go
Boy, you're a Casanova. 10 minutes before the race, and she let you carry her in a wife carrying contest.
She was a sweet gal.
I'm talking to Casey and I were playing over at Glen location at Iron World, which he played for 19 years.
Yes.
Across the tracks. And as part of Finn days, they had wife carrying. And you had to hurdle, and it was 85. Anyway, I was playing drums, so on my break, I took part in the wife carrying contest. We did good. We should have won. I think I want to act like it was fixed. We should have won. No, but anyway, I was sweating so bad. I sweat through the next break, and it finally quit sweating by the next one. Finish. You can Google that. I bet
it's called Eo con canto, and it's funny. Piggyback is how it was originally done. It was invented in Finland, but the Estonians have kind of dominated it historically, apparently. They had invented a technique where you put the girl's knees right here with her face, and because then the way human bodies are, then you got her legs here for better grip, and she's closer to your back so you can run faster with her.
Yeah.
I think it's a better technique, but I had just met the girl and we hadn't practiced. We got 4th place. I'm still proud of it, especially because I haven't exercised.
I think the only evidence is that I think the public access in Hibbing.
They got video of you doing it.
He's got a Finnish name, the guy over in Hibbing.
I want to see that footage.
What you doing? Anyway.
1980s, you killing it.
Oh,
anyway, I better wrap this up. You're probably got to get back to your wife. But ladies and gentlemen, Mike Aro, the son of the legendary Finnish-American musician, radio legend Bobby Aro. I will have you back for an episode 2 ASAP. You weren't even planning on this, but we'll see you for St. Urho's Day.
You got it, Steve.
He's half Finnish, half Irish, so you're going to have an identity
crisis. I'm half as good as I could be. Yeah, that's right, though. I have the month of March set good. When my beard wasn't white, it was red because of my mother's Irish heritage.
And I just love the Irish. They got the prettiest music in the world. Some of that, especially that Parting Glass song. And Sally Gardens.
Which the one when Irish eyes are shining?
When Irish eyes are smiling, just like a moon in spring. And I'm a bass singer trying to do it, but yeah, they have the best tenors in the world too. Well, Italians in opera, but Irish in that choral setting is just...
Oh, we're getting a real lesson there.
It's a Minnesota goodbye on the podcast, but episode 2, get ready.